To the discussion still on the matter of the Rivers LG polls as the sole administrator appoints new RSIEC chairman. Now, this decision is raising critical questions. Was due process followed in the appointment? Is there enough time for credible polls given the short notice? And more importantly, what does this mean for democracy and grassroots governance in Rivers State? So, to help us make sense of this, we're joined by Liborous Oshoma, legal practitioner, and also Enefaa Georgwill, chairman of the Rivers Civil Society Organization, and Mr. Jake Epelle, CEO of the Albino Foundation and political analyst. You are welcome, sir. Sirs, you are welcome.
Gentlemen,
good morning.
Good morning. Let me start with you, Mr. Oshoma. From a legal standpoint, the critical question has always been, can the sole administrator, validly appoint a new RSIEC chairman, a new electoral commission chairman after the suspension of the governor and, of course, the previous commission leadership?
Yeah, without wanting to go into the legality or otherwise of the provisions of Section 305, I think we have debated that enough. Section 11, until the Supreme Court determines one way or the other, if truly, by virtue of Section 305, anytime a state of emergency is declared, whether the powers of the state governors and the democratic institution in the state can be suspended. I'll leave that at that. By virtue of Section 11 of the Constitution, once a state House of Assembly is unable to make laws for the state, the National Assembly will take over the functions of that lawmaking. And so in the interim, I think the National Assembly, I watched the screening of members of the Rivers State electoral body at the National Assembly, including the screening of the Rivers State Local Government Commission. I think where the lady, one of these ladies, if you remember, said she used to have a certificate and that she attended one of the scam school in West Africa. And a member of, during the screening, when I think he was a professor also for the electoral body, said that he's a professor and he has integrity. And Oshomole also said that professor and electoral bodies in Nigeria are not associated with integrity. So to that end, I will not, in all honesty, say that the appointment is illegal or invalid by virtue of Section 11 of the Constitution. The National Assembly haven't screened that, except the court rules otherwise, that in ab initio, by virtue of Section 305, you have no power to suspend the sitting governor. Because I believe, that's been my belief, that if you declare a state of emergency, you have no power to suspend the sitting governor. You have no power to suspend the State House of Assembly. But that had happened, it had happened, and the matter is at the Supreme Court. And every other thing that is done, if the court invalidates that process, then every other thing falls by the wayside. But otherwise, Section 11 empowers the National Assembly to make laws for that state. But the instrument appointing the administrator, does it empower him to take the steps that he is taking? That's another question that will come into play. I have not seen that instrument that appointed the administrator, whether I gave him wide powers, to, as adopted by the National Assembly, whether I gave him wide powers to take the decisions, the steps that he has taken. That's, that's my opinion on that matter.
Well, Mr. Oshoma, the worry for me is that it seems like the judiciary is becoming the authority now that's supposed to be handling matters that have to do with whether party politics or governance in Nigeria. But I'll leave that for now. Let me come to Mr. Epelle. Now, Mr. Jake Epelle, it's very interesting that civil society groups are beginning to question the schedule that we have here. There's no time is what they're saying. There are activities that are posted like barely a day apart. So I'm wondering what you think regarding RSIEC's preparedness to actually conduct these polls.
Good morning. My organization I founded is TAF Africa. We have transited from the Albino Foundation to TAF Africa because we cater for all shades of persons' disability. I think what is playing out now is a perpetuation of illegality upon illegality. I don't know how much we can sort of melodramatically dance around this perpetuation of illegality and injustice to Rivers people. I was listening carefully to my very good friend Liborous, and I thought he would give us a final legal opinion upon the whole scenario that is playing out, where a man appointed will sit over a democratic process. And I keep wondering and I keep asking, and my friend will say, well, that is the law. Where is the place of morality? Must we use legality to a sort of marinate morality? Must we strengthen the people because we want to be politically correct? Where do we stop and understand the average Rivers people are the one bearing the brunt of this political, theatrical script that is being played out in my dear state? Please let me say it times without number. It is the people that I speak for. It is the people that matters. I am a true Rivers indigene by all shades. I don't have to live in Port Harcourt to be recognized as a Rivers indigene. I am from Opobo town, where Fubara comes from. So it's important, Opobo Kingdom, I'm sorry, but it's important to underscore the kind of political history that is being made today using Rivers State as a pond. We have become the political pond of the powers that be. And this is not too good. Back to local government election. And I'll say it point blank. I don't see this sole administrator who has become more or less like a king, an emperor. I don't see him overseeing a democratic process when the process that brought him can be faulted, has a lacuna, like the lawyers will say. We cannot continue to make a mess of democracy and think we will get a good result at the end of the day. It's like a madman who will pick up a bottle, throw it in the air, put his head and think that it will not break his head. Listen to me. As much as possible, the people still holds the power. And one day we will decide who will rule us. And earlier they correct this injustice, because to me, it is an injustice to Rivers people. It is a slap on our face. It is a spit on our faces. And we must, all of us as Nigerians must speak out, because one day it will be the turn of your state, you know. So what is happening in Rivers State and what they are playing out is illegality, a perpetuation of illegality, an aberration of constitution, and the continued suffocation of the people of Rivers State. My heart goes out to every one of us. But one thing I know for sure, one day somebody will be held accountable for all this mess. I don't see myself recognizing this so-called sole administrator. He's illegal, his presence is annoying, his decisions are completely undemocratic, because sitting in that office, he is an undemocratic sole administrator. I'm waiting. Let him go. Let him come and go. One day, people like him will hold him accountable for how he has squandered our resources and continue to squander our resources, using himself as a conduit pipe, siphoning these resources to the people who sent him. One day, people will hold him accountable. He's not. He doesn't have immunity, so he can be sued. Right.
Let me come to you, Mr. Georgwill. You are the chairman of the Rivers Civil Society organizations, and most of the civil society organizations, CSOs in the state, have raised concerns about the timeline of this election. But have you also felt the pulse of the residents and voters of Rivers State? Are they looking forward to August 30th?
I want to go straight to the issue. Rivers people Are they paused? Are they prepared? Are they happy over what has happened? I think that why that measurement will be very difficult to make because of we haven't done proper statistics. But informal investigation and samples done around Rivers State shows that I can say that 80% of Rivers people are not happy with what is happening, and I assure you they are going to boycott the election, just as we have advised. And we are not doing this because we don't like Mr. President or the political gladiators or we have any personal issues with the Sole Administrator. So rather with the legal Sole Administrator. It is because his presence there is annoying, is illegal, and totally unacceptable. First is not the creation of law. For whatever the pretense, we are operating a constitutional democracy. And of course, the laws don't recognize him holding sway. Even if you want to say, oh, there is okay, there is room that Section 305 is saying, okay, when there is crisis, the president can directly intervene. The question we would ask is that why don't you manage the question of security, which is supposed to be a one-off thing, and why do you not delve into other issues of governance that the Constitution has clearly said is the exclusive reserve of those who are elected constitutionally. And as of today, the person who has that authority to so manage the resources and Rivers people, by Rivers people I mean are indigenous and non-indigenous who are residents there. The person who has that constitutional power is the Rivers State government and our different assembly members representing us at the different constituencies. Which power is Mr. Ibas deriving his power to manage our resources, manage our people, constitute board, electoral board within our laws? Where is he getting all of these powers from? It is on this stand that we are saying that what is happening has nothing to do with insecurity, because it is about security. It's going to be a one-off thing. It's supposed to come here to maintain law and order, not to delve into other contentious and very serious issues like management of resources. And whatever it is what, we have a precedent. Under former President Goodluck Ebele Jonah, the military intervened. But again, governance continue. The governors of those states, and this is the law, and this is what it is supposed to be, and not. I think there's even a contract. I think it's a contract also regarding, and where the court have clearly said that you cannot sack, that the president does not have the powers to sack elected governors of the state. And I doubt, I don't have the record if that decision have been challenged. But again, on the specifics about August 30th. Now, I haven't said that the Sole Administrator is illegal. I haven't equally said that if at all he is supposed to be here, he is supposed to be talking about maintaining law and order. We want to further say that if he is now saying that he wants to conduct election, that there's considered a board that will conduct election, meaning he is automatically saying that there is peace. So if there is peace, why is he still there?
No.
Why is he here? What is he still doing?
Mr. Georgwill, very important questions you're posing there, very interesting questions. But I have to get to Mr. Oshoma here because I have a very interesting question to ask him as well. Now, Mr. Liborous Oshoma, regarding this cloud of illegality that everything seems to be shrouded in, as all three of you have noted, one has to wonder about the credibility of the polls when they do happen. Do you think that these gaps, these legal gaps, these gaps are being put in place as an apparatus to allow for manipulation when the time eventually comes for, like you put it, those who sent him? And I'm referring to the Sole Administrator and, well, the bodies that be.
A Trojan horse.
Some issues here. I will throw punches. I'm not known to massage anybody's ego. So let's not pretend as if we are coming from a utopian river state. Anything that is happening in Nigeria today is caused by politicians. Any illegality that is happening in Nigeria today is caused by politicians. I am not one who believes in local government election. Let's get that straight. Because every local government election conducted by any local political party that is at the helm of affairs at the state, they clear the poll. What we have at the local level is an aberration, not even an election. So let's not pretend that, look, Rivers State was a utopian environment. What even led to the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State is something that is avoidable. I was on this same platform when I was shouting that Section 109 is not self-executory, that we are heading towards the wars of destruction, that there is no way a governor can sit down and decide that it is through his pen that he will recognize a state House of Assembly members. And so all of these are factors that led to the destructions that we're talking about today. And so let's not just exonerate the politician. Also, after the 2023 election, we saw how some persons went to the army headquarters to kneel down, begging the military to come and take over government. If we do not exhibit this kind of behaviors, then we won't be giving some persons the opportunity, the temerity to believe that you can just sack a democratically elected, governance in a state. Like my friend alluded to, when Goodluck Jonathan did it, he didn't sack the, a democratically elected government, and the president, the current president, even condemned him then, that the state of emergency declaration was illegal. But when Obasanjo did it, he removed the democratically elected government. That is why, as a lawyer, I am waiting on the Supreme Court, and I hope that the Supreme Court will timeously take a decision on this so that we can put a finality to it. So any president tomorrow will not come and sit down and begin to use this same example. And let me also correct a statement you made immediately after I spoke. The law, the courts are not Father Christmas. The court do not just jump into matters. They are invited. It is the politicians, it is the actors, it is the people that invite them to come and adjudicate over this matter. The court doesn't just sit down and say, look, we want to interfere in your matters. So as lawyers, sometimes don't blame us when you hear lawyers begin to interpret matters the way it should be, or that the matters have been taken to court. Also, I am not here to interpret morals. I am here to look at strictly what does the law say. And then lastly, on the issue of the local government election, I have looked at the previous timetable. I have also looked at this current timetable. The question is, this local government election, there was a time, the local government election that was conducted by the Fubara-led administration. I was in Rivers State when that local government election was conducted. There were issues. And at the end of the day, that same local government was still conducted, despite the fact that some persons raised issues about it. Just the same way we are raising issues about this one now. And the Supreme Court subsequently invalidated. Those that are condemning today, eulogize Fubara for going ahead and insisting, encouraging him that he must go ahead to conduct local government election. And we saw what that local government election, it was a charade. And we saw how, it became, how persons were just merely appointed into offices. And today we're on that same part again. That, look, there was a timetable that was released. That timetable was to conduct election in, I think, on the 7th or 15th of August. And so this Rivers State reconstituted board is saying that what they simply did is to amend that old timetable to conduct election in August, which is also arguable, neither here nor there. But the question for me really is, if we truly believe that government at the local level is the government that is closest to the people, and every state governor conducts local government election the way it should be duly conducted, then we won't have all of these issues. If Fubara had conducted local government election the way it should be conducted, the same way you see every state governor conducting election. If all of them conduct election at the local government election the way it is conducted, we would have all of this crisis in our democracy. So let's not begin to talk about morals when our governors do not even exhibit an iota of morals.
All right. Let's very quickly, very quickly, because we're out of time at this point. Ms. Epelle, you are the head of an NGO that is about inclusivity, most importantly. Whether or not these polls happen, one thing is certain. We have to talk about credibility and most importantly, inclusivity. I'm going to put a pin on this question, but I will ask it. Do you think that August 30th, RSIEC will be ready when it comes to inclusion at the polls? That's the question. Well, let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll take that question. Stay with us. You're watching Breakfast Extra here on News Central Television. Our guest today is Mr. Liborous Oshoma, a practitioner and lawyer. Also joining us is Mr. Enefaa Georgwill, who is the chairman of the Rivers State CSOs in the state. And also with us is Mr. Jake Epelle. He is the founder of TAFA Africa. Now, altogether, we've been talking about the appointment of a new chairman of the Rivers State Electoral Commission by the sole administrator, and also the legality of that appointment, as well as the credibility of the polls, the local government polls, which is now slated for August 30th. Now, before the break, we're talking about the legal implications of this and whether or not this should be happening, this election should be happening under the sole administrator. Before the break, I was asking you a question, Mr. Epelle, and it was about the preparedness of the sole administrator, the electoral commissioner for the state ahead of the polls, putting in mind inclusivity for the local government elections.
Thank you very much. I want to say that, you know, when people try to analyze issues in Rivers State, we shouldn't cherry pick nor point accusing fingers. Let's discuss objectively and dissect the issues so that we don't end up confusing viewers. The problem in Rivers State started with federalism. It started with a certain block of Rivers indigenes that believe that it's their right to determine who leads the people, even though they're just a handful of people. But I'm not going to go into that. The problem of who controls the resources, power play, and all that, I'm not going to go into that. Let me answer your question specifically, but also to say that sometimes lawyers think that when they go to court, they leave their emotions at home. They don't want to talk about morals. They just want to face law and speak on the legality of a process or issues, and they forget the fact that they are human, they have conscience, and I'm a friend of the lawyers. I'll be speaking at the upcoming MBA in Enugu. But let me be pointed. It is important to underscore the fact that even the so-called sole administrator, and I say so-called in capital letters, you know, he has not even identified with the community of persons with disability. I went there, and I'm very strategic the way I analyze and in what I do. I went there, and I think New Central supported us, and we did a focal group discussion, brought persons with disability, interrogated, have we been factored into this makeshift kangaroo arrangement in Rivers State? Has the administrator reached out to any person with disability or the community of persons with disability? The answer is in capital no. So I don't believe, and I'm a big player in the electoral space in this country. When I say I, my organization, you know, I don't believe they have the capacity to conduct an inclusive election. What we're going to have is an exclusive handpick of individuals that they want to play out their script. Look, the forthcoming local government election is not going to be inclusive. I don't think they have the capacity to administer an inclusive election, recognizing persons with disability either to contest or even to vote. They don't have the instrument, they don't have the framework, they don't have the electoral adaptive devices, except they will start today. But no matter what you do, you cannot sugarcoat a very bad bonds or try to give another color to a bad apple. It is not possible. Okay. So this election is not going to be inclusive, not in how many days. It is practically impossible because you have to educate the RSIEC or the local government electoral body. You have to train their staff that will be deployed. You have to train CSOs to understand inclusivity and what is required. Somebody has to interpret the Electoral Act 2022, subsections 54, section 54, subsection 1 and 2, which empowers the electoral body to administer an inclusive election. By the way, I think my organization, we are observing the process, and this time around, we're going to test the law at the end of the day. So you see, we cannot continue to allow this shameful show of shame to continue in a state like Rivers State. They are interested in our resources. They are not interested in the people.
All right, Mr. Epelle.
And this, we must not allow this to continue.
All right, Mr. Epelle. Mr. Oshoma, let me come to you, but we only have about 3 minutes, so I'm going to be very fast. Legal implications in view, note that inclusivity has been discussed, and then let's talk voter perception. What must RSIEC do now to be able to restore voter perception of their, well, how they're managing the issues of polls coming up?
Foremost, the law is clear that you must give 90 days to the conduct of election. And so if the RSIEC is saying that they are amending the previous timetable that was given, that timetable, how well have they carried the people along? How well will they, haven't just been appointed by the National Assembly, can they, in all honesty, conduct election given the time frame that they have? And then also they should have in mind the legal challenge of that 90 days. Can you amend a timetable that was issued by a SAT, electoral body? And that timetable, when the body was sacked, was that timetable subsisting as at the time they were sacked? Did they state to the politicians and to the local government participants, not in political parties, that the timetable that was issued is still subsisting and we're going to follow it? Or they just came up with this timetable to also say that, look, we're just going, because of time, we're going to amend the existing timetable. These are legal issues that will eventually go to court. But the question is, why don't we avoid all of this legal issue? Because the politician, there is no way you can analyze Rivers State crisis without talking about the actions of the politicians. Because the politicians consistently, there are for and against. There are some persons who also believe that if election is conducted by a particular bloc, they will, be excluded from the election. And if the election is conducted by this also particular bloc, the other set will be excluded. If there is no trust, no matter who is conducting the election, there's always going to be a problem. So I believe personally, these are my opinion, that the time is too short to conduct a credible election at the local government level, because I'm a believer in the grassroots. And then on the issue of funds for local government, people being interested in the money of Rivers State, I want to also say that I took a study of the budgets of Rivers State previously and the current budget of Rivers State and some other states, and I discovered that our governors are just committing blue murder all in the name of budgeting. Take the CCTV line item in Rivers State budget. In the year 2023, there was 72 billion budgeted for Rivers State. In the year 2024, 58 billion for the same CCTV for Rivers State. And then in the year 2025, 28 billion. How come this was under our civilian administration. If our behavior as politicians do not encourage this illegality and wastage of resources, both at the local government, at the state level, and at the federal level, then some of us will not be at a loss. It will just be a one-liner to say, yes, this is illegal and it should not be condoned. But as illegal as it is, there are issues that are coming up also that I cannot close my eyes to. So those are my worries. Those are my challenges. These are illegality. Local government election, I believe, is too short. The time is too short, considering the fact that you must at least give 90 days, 3 months. But the crisis here is, what if the the political party in office, in the governor, what was the outcome of the election he conducted? Was it inclusive also? It was not inclusive. What is the conduct of the elections conducted at various state levels? Is it inclusive? It is not inclusive. Should we continue like this? These are the crises that politicians need to spare us and answer for us. It's not about sentiment. It's not just about law, but about coming inside and asking ourselves the basic questions. Why don't we do it right? If we do it right, nobody will have the moral standing to come and truncate a process that is, upright and running. That's basically my point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I mean, we wait to see how this will play out, in just how it will play out in the public sphere. And most importantly, whether or not we'll just wait to see how this plays out. All eyes are now on the state governor, rather the sole administrator, the commissioner, as well as, the polls coming August 30th. But finally, Georgwill, let's just hear your final thoughts. What would you say? Do you think that there will be a pause on the polls, or would it continue until on said date?
Like you have said, that what is happening is a national shame. It's not just about Rivers. It's about the very wrong precedent, bad politicking attempt by the federal government to hijack governance in Rivers. The lawyer in our midst is struggling very hard to compare lime with oranges. What is before us is not whether politicians are corrupt or whether elections are due process of elections are followed. That is not what is before us. And let me say it for free. That the election conducted by the governor of Rivers State, had issues, especially legal issues. We condemned it with procedural issues. We condemned this election. But what we are saying is, whether or not the sole administrator have the right to conduct elections for us, if they now say that they are following the timetable as outlined by the board set up by the governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, we are now saying, why then did you not sack the board if they are doing the proper thing? Secondly, can you, a new board, set up illegally, now derive power from a dissolved board? Not that the board, the tenure of the board are spared. No, that you for whatever it is worth, whatever reasons that only you can explain, you came in here to maintain peace when there is even no war. You came in here to maintain peace, and you begin to dissolve an existing board constituted by an elected governor of the state. And you now brought in your own illegal board, and the next thing you are telling us that you are deriving your powers. You're going to continue from where they stop. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense, and of course it defies our logic. But the truth of the matter is, like we have rightly said, that Rivers people should boycott these elections. All of us should be mobilized to the courts, if need be, after we must have held our GA, the General Assembly of our Civil Service Elections in Rivers State. If need be, we are going to do a street march opposing the elections. We are going to approach the court to oppose these elections, and of course on this illegality. That is what is before us. It is not whether or not elections have been free and fair.
Mr. Georgwill.
Elections conducted by governors have been free and fair.
Now, Mr. Georgwill, I want to say thank you very much. We were just about to say thank you to all three of you, gentlemen, but Mr. Liborous, you have 1 minute because I see you are agitating for 1 minute. So just 1 minute to give you what it is that's itching you.
I have not said here that I believe in the conduct of that local government election. I believe clearly that the sole administrator does not even have the powers to conduct a local government election. It is not within his place. I have not said that. But what I am saying is that we got to where we are today because the politicians also played into the hands of whoever is out there to destroy, the democratic structures in Rivers State.
All right, then.
If I were a politician in Rivers State, I will not participate in the election.
All right, then. Well, I want to say thank you very much, gentlemen. Mr. Jake Epelle, Mr. Liborous Oshoma, Mr. Enefaa Georgwill, thank you for your very robust yet very digest opinion and contributions here on this topic. We've actually enjoyed this.